So now as you're moving along into starting to develop your topic more fully, the next part of our assignment is the annotated bibliography. This is something that I hope that you may have done before in a different class, and so you have a general idea of how in an annotated bibliography you give a brief summary of the information in a paper. I have specific instructions for how I want you to approach this in this class, and those are in the assignment that is now on Brightspace. So my annotations basically comprise of 3 parts after the citation. So you give your full citation in the standard CSE name year style, and that's the first thing that's given. And then you write a paragraph about the paper. That knocking is not the front door, it's a bird. You write a paragraph about 150 words, so that's about a third of a page. And in that, you need to do 3 things. You need to summarize the basic content of the source, what is in this paper. You can give some details about whether this is a review paper that summarizes or the researchers investigated the very and then give the specifics of that particular research study. But you need to tell me what I would find if I went to look at that paper without but summarizing it. Don't go on too long about it. There's a tendency to make that section too long and the other 2 sections too short. The second piece of information that I would like to see is, what use is this to you? Why are you picking it? This research article will help me with my background information on the various treatments for early onset dementia, and because it outlines the various types of drugs and interventional therapies. And this is an important focus of my paper. So give me a clue, actually not a clue, give me specifics about why you think this is an important paper for you and how you think you're going to use it. Finally, I want you to evaluate the authority of the author. In other words, why do you think this particular paper is credible? And this requires you to do that same kind of background work that you did in the assigned reading or critical reading, in the critical reading. So just look up, where was this work done? Was it done at a reputable university? Does this author have extensive expertise in this field? Do they run a large lab group? You don't have to give all of this different information, but give me an indication of how that you have at least investigated the background of the author or authors to some extent, and that you have some belief that these are not just sort of random authors. I know that it seems like I'm over pushing this, and there's a tendency for students to just believe all science articles, but it really is true that there are articles out there, quite a lot. There's a simply Xerox articles that have hardly been reviewed at all, and people working in a university and publishing things that are really mediocre. And you really don't want to be basing your research work on that type of paper. So start to get used to looking to see if this seems like a good, solid, reputable group that are doing the work that you're using. As you prepare your annotated bibliography, this is really going to help you organize your paper, because you'll be thinking about, what's am I going to need in my introduction? What are the introductory topics? Do I have background articles that I can reference for my introductory topics? as well as have you got the actual primary articles that you need, and what information can you get out of those. So it's very much a building process. The first annotated bibliography is due in on Monday, December the 13th. That is a draft, and you get graded on the draft. That should have annotations for 5 articles. At least 2 should be primary. So the other 3 can be review articles, they can be textbooks, they can be authoritative websites, websites like the CDC, like the American Heart Association, like the Forestry Service. Those types of websites are acceptable, but just news and views kind of websites are not. So it says sources should be scholarly or well respected, and at least 2 should be primary. After the submission of your first draft, then we will go through those at one of our Thursday or Tuesday meetings, and I will give you all of the corrections on it, and then you will revise the annotations that you submitted in the draft, and also add 3 more annotations for additional sources, so that you end up with a total of 8, and the final total, a minimum, should be 3 primary papers. You could have 5 primary papers, but it's got to be a minimum of 3. Depends a little bit on your topic, exactly the balance of what kind of papers you'll be using in your paper, but you must have at least 3 primary papers in the end. So hopefully this exercise will help you. You've got to be reading extensively and choosing the papers that are going to work best for you on your topic. You may have to go back and rerun your literature search with slightly different words to get more papers in a particular part of your topic that didn't show up the first time. It's very much an iterative process, this getting to having a full review paper. So sort of you can't expect that you'll have everything you need first time around. At least it would be very lucky and surprising if you did. But anyway, we will please be working on this through next week. So it's due on the Monday after next, and then we will discuss it and keep you moving along from there. So that will be the end of annotated bibliography.